obviously being in the field that I am, I think about video and the way that it could really give some opportunities for just all kinds of messages to get out.
Right.
And that's one of the things that, I take pride in, is trying to spread good messages, work with people that are doing really cool things in our community. And New Promise Cancer Foundation is a new organization, and they're jumping right in. They're not wasting much time at all.
It took off very, very quickly from when I jumped into. So, it's awesome.
And there's so many amazing organizations that are doing all kinds of good stuff. I work with organizations that try to, raise funds for all kinds of situations, including cancer awareness and different campaigns like that. And one of the differences, I'm not saying anybody else doesn't do this, but their main mission for New Promise is to literally just be a way to alleviate stress.
Yes.
And whether that's through different expenses, support, and on down the line with individual kind of needs. And so when I was asked to be a Promise partner, I was like, at first, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, March it's
pretty
busy.
swamped, yeah.
It's busy. However, I was like, how could I say no?
Right.
So that's, I did sit back in the chair for a minute, and I was just like, I need to do this because it's just, it's good. And, if there's something I can do to help, it's being provided. So it provided a platform for, people to hear my voice with my experience with cancer, along with it's 24 others, including yourself.
It's amazing.
That were meeting new people in our community. Some people I've never met before, some people I have. And we're all coming to this common ground to help get this whole foundation on its feet.
Right. What's amazing, going back to what you said about that, maybe people you never knew as well, but now we're getting to know each other, which is cool with everything is I didn't realize how many, just shows you how many more cancer stories there are out there, but some folks that I never knew, like yourself included, we've known each other for kind of a while now, almost this year kind of, but I didn't really know that we had that in common.
Right.
We kind of touched on it before, but now that we're doing this and part of this, we've gotten to learn a lot more about that kind of stuff, which is really cool. So I think that's what I loved about it the most too, is everybody's got a story, and most people do have a cancer story, but I think it's incredible that...
Yeah, to pause on that note, that's the thing that I get set back all the time. It's just who hasn't dealt with cancer in some form or fashion?
Capacity, yeah.
Either yourself or a loved one. Who hasn't dealt with cancer in their lifetime?
It's crazy.
For, even kids, they.
Oh, I know.
Either they're dealing with it, or their parents have, or grandparents. It's everybody's impacted in so many different ways.
There's so many stories out there, and the fact that we can shine a light on it this month, it's really, it's pretty incredible. And some of the stories that we've already heard, and I know it feels like March is already almost. Feels like we're all at the halfway marker. It's weird how fast it's gone. But the accomplishments have already happened.
Right.
But
we're past the halfway mark as far as the overall goal,
which is crazy. So this thing hit the ground running so fast, and it's been super fun to watch, but also just really cool to be a part of. So
as far as Evergreen creative goes, we got to do the headshots and the headshot photos that have been used in the campaign things, which is great. I love being able to support in that way too, but also just the people coming through, we already heard those people's stories.
That's awesome.
I remember talking with Kendall, and she was just opening up about how I think it's her father that was that dealt with the cancer stuff, and that it just seems like when you open up a door like that, there's going to be it just allows someone else to be able to open up.
Sure.
And that's one of the things I shared with at the meet and greet was, it's we're all going through stuff. We all have things that we have gone through or are currently going through. Sometimes, I don't know. I don't even think it's a guy thing at this point. It's just about talking about stuff.
Yeah.
We get busy. Sometimes we feel like we don't want to bother someone else with issues or feel like we're just, venting out or whatever. Like negativity is always around us. And so like there's a lot of, I don't know, like I get bogged down at times too, but like again, like this kind of, it provided me a platform to where I can potentially, allow someone else to open up. Even if I just utter a few words, maybe those words will help someone else just open up and talk about it.
Oh, absolutely.
So like, I guess that's the gist of the campaign. So overall there's and I'll leave links below. Try to use my link, but it's like
Hit that one.
I'm competitive in nature, but at the same time, like all the funds go to one.
Right.
pot,
That's the beauty of it. Like, yes, competitiveness and raising the money for your thing, but like, I mean, the best part is like it all goes to all these people, and which is amazing.
And one of the things I've enjoyed about this is that there's not like this big incentive thing going on.
Oh, for sure.
Like, we're not getting anything out of no bonuses, perks, prizes.
This is all just raising money for
so
others.
There's not like this big sales pitch of trying to, if you do this much or if you do this or that, you get this. It's just straight giving.
Yep, that's it.
So that's giving. One of the things I have appreciated about this, because while like Dothan is known for being such a generous city, it's like it feels like we're always bombarded with funding going somewhere, people asking money for all kinds of situations. So
like another campaign, another fundraiser. It's like this one's different. It felt different from day one when you found out about it. Because like for me, like I didn't really know anything about this. I think I might have been like the last one to the party on this one, honestly, which was cool because like I had no idea. And Kendall shows the one who reached out to me. She's like, "What kind of cancer did your dad have?" And I said, "Well, he had a form of kidney cancer." And because we've talked about it before because of her dad and stuff too. And she says like, "Hey, I want you to consider being a part of this thing. We're looking for," because that's the other cool thing about all the people involved. Like we're all representing a different form. Of cancer, that like in the form of cancer that our story is. And my dad was kidney, and so like I got a little more information on it, and like just kind of like you, like this was, like being involved with, my work at the church, and it stays pretty busy, and I just kind of finished up a show with SEACT, and I'm helping my daughter downtown right now with Peter Pan. There's just a lot going on, but like I was kind of like you, I was like, I can't say no to this. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this because it's such a cool way for me to also like honor my dad's legacy through this and to represent this and to get to do this, but also raising money for others because I saw he would go to MD Anderson a lot, and so I know how hospital bills can get kind of crazy or regular bills or just food, things like that. So the fact that we can raise money for others who are going through that kind of thing too, I mean, it was a no-brainer. So
exactly. So I guess with that we could introduce. We've already kind of touched on what cancers and stuff, but so your dad was kidney cancer.
Yes. It was. I'm terrible with medical terminology. It's actually got a name. It starts with the letter R. It's like retinal. It's something, but basically it's kidney cancer. That was the main source of his cancer. It was crazy. He was senior pastor at Covenant for since we moved here when I was in 4th grade, so we've been here for a while, and he loved Dothan and everything. But it was probably about, it's weird to think like already it's like probably 3, almost 4 years ago when he got diagnosed, and it's just like a day I don't think you'll ever forget because it was like we were still like prime COVID. Everything was still like shut down. You can't really do anything for real or go anywhere.
So was it 2020 when?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So because my mom actually texted me and was like, y'all need to come to the house. We got to tell y'all something. I was like, it's either going to be like really good or really bad, because that just doesn't happen if it's not callable or textable. But they wanted us there. It's like because at the time, the rule was you could go hang out with family and stuff, but like they didn't want you doing a whole lot of other places. And so we went, and they just kind of out of nowhere he just kind of dropped the bomb on us, and I don't think I'll ever forget. It was like a crazy nightmare situation to me. You're like really, is this this real life kind of thing? And it was super awful. Like just felt like so much sadness, some anger, like all kinds of things like that. Because why? But he never stopped. It was crazy because he was just like he got more mad that he couldn't preach, and do the things that he loved to do, I guess. Because he had to start off on all the oncology stuff and all the different medicines and things. And sometimes, like, it was so crazy. Like, sometimes the medicine and the treatments he would do, like, it would, like, take his voice away for months. And that's his job, and that's to talk and to preach and to do those things. And but then it would come back in spells, and then he would have really, really good moments and be like, okay, it's shrinking and it's going down, and that's great. And then there would be times it would raise back up again, and he'd lose his voice again. But until the last day, I mean, he preached as much as he could. He was the best dad. He was the best granddad to Lil. Did all the things he tried to do, but it was, but yeah, it was a crazy roller coaster 3-year battle, and just got to a point where you just kind of knew this was it, and kind of like I remember looking at him one time. He was in his hospice bed and was at the house, and just like, I don't think you want to do this anymore. And he's like, no. And he knew. And so it was really tough. It's really hard to let go. I mean, it's still hard now. It doesn't get any easier almost 2 years later.
Right.
Or whatever it is. But it was really tough on me. It was really tough on my family. It was tough on my church, really, and a lot of people in the city. He just loved everybody and was such a good guy. And but yeah, so it was tough, and it's still tough, but did find a little bit of joy through it. Just still watching him be as strong as he was through it all, and still trying to preach, and still, like, he would preach barely to have a voice, and he would still do it. Like, why don't you take a break? That kind of thing. He's like, I don't know what. Like, I was like, one day I'm just gonna find him in his office.
I think at times, like, if you're in that kind of position and you take a break, you feel like you lose momentum, or like you'll.
And I'm pretty sure that's
wasted time, or stuff like that.
I'm pretty sure that's what was going through his mind. So man never quit, and it was just a crazy up and downhill battle.
Right.
Like, you just didn't know what was going to happen next, kind of. Yeah.
It's the roller coasters. I don't know what would be is there a better, unless you're coming out of getting better of cancer, but like if you're going out at whatever point, it's just like, the roller coasters, they're tough, but it's like with how I describe my dad's story, it's like it's ugly. It's not a pretty story one bit. We found out it was 3 months. Like, he was gone in 3 months from diagnosis.
Goodness gracious.
So it's like, I remember being in Montgomery at the VA hospital getting the diagnosis and stuff with him. And so, we're all, okay, what do you do now kind of stuff? Right. And, what are the options? What can we do? So it's like my dad was lymphoma cancer. That's what the ultimate thing was, but he also had like a tumor the size of a football inside of his stomach.
Goodness.
And so it's like, my question is like, how does that go undetected? How does something that large inside of someone, like, just not be discovered? And so part of the issue, and I'm past like the blame kind of stuff. It's just facts at this point, but it's like they would only scan from here up on his just checkups and stuff. And so, like, the football was literally underneath them, underneath all those scans. And so it's like,
golly,
there was that, but also like back in, I think it was 2003 or 4, he had 5 bypass surgery from a heart attack. And so, that was a struggle then, of course. But the problem from that experience was he was left on medication for too long.
Right.
That basically ate away at his muscular system. So by the time he did get diagnosed with lymphoma, the tumor stuff going on, he had no strength to even fight. I remember, I think it was probably like his health just kind of faded. The last few weeks of his life was, at Southeast Health Medical Center at the time. And it just like, what are the options? Like, what can we do? And the doctors would try to, they would do tests and try to feel if he could even fight with chemo or anything like that. But the closer it got to time that he actually passed away, there was just nothing we could do. So it was, that ugly side of it.
Yeah.
Like borderline, like malpractice kind of stuff. But it also, shows the faults of the VA system kind of things
Right.
too. But like the other ugly side of it, and I'm only sharing this because it's not like a one-up thing of who's worse or who did better or whatever. It's just like I want people to understand like what my family went through, because I know there's going to be others that are potentially going through the same situation or somewhere close to it.
Sure.
But like that last week at the hospital, like he could barely function.
Right.
It got to that point. In his last day, we were at the hospital. I remember getting a call. I was working at the time, lawn care landscaping company back at the time, and I remember getting the call, and I looked at my, or I called my boss and stuff, and we knew that at some point I was gonna have to just hop off the truck and go get cleaned up and get to the hospital kind of thing, and that's what that phone call was.
Right.
So we got there, and I don't think he could even open his eyes. But let me back up one thing. Like one of the positives, one of the things I'll never forget was like he was so weak, like he could barely lift a smile kind of thing. But Olivia, who was like 1 year of age at the time, she was the only thing that would make him smile.
That's amazing.
And like it's literally like I'll never forget that. Like anytime she would come into the room, you could just see him.
Yep.
Just as best as he could put a smile on. So like that was very meaningful.
Right.
Something like I said I'll never forget. So out of that mess, like that was some of the positive or joy that kind of came out of being able to see him smile. So that was pretty special. But once, like I said, once it got to this point where like I don't know, it was. I don't know how to describe this other than it's just like it was like something out of a horror film.
Yeah, that's about right.
Because like his last few hours, he was uttering something, and we thought at the time it was "I need to know," and he would just grunt it out as best as he could, and we would just try to figure out like what do you need to know, and we just try to figure out answers, and you could just see him like shake his head no kind of thing, like we weren't understanding.
Right.
It wasn't until later that we were like, I need to go. I need to go. And
that's wow.
So he was struggling in a way that no one could understand. So it's like, I mean, for a long time, like that grunting was just stuck in my head like that. It was terrible.
Yeah, that was kind of the last weeks of my dad too, and we had to end up getting a hospice bed in my mom's living room. It just got to a point like it's just when you knew. But yeah, he would start making these crazy sounds too. That's just when you know that's not. I haven't heard that yet. That's normal. That haunts you for a while. And I was there kind of the same way. Like I was there, and my sister was too. When he was taking his final breaths, and I mean you're just kind of watching him and just like like this is happening, and there's like nothing you can do. So like the horror film thing, that's like that is the best way. But also to back up on that as well, kind of like what you were talking about with Olivia, Lily Grant. Right. That was kind of the same way. There was times where she would come over, like he wouldn't eat or drink, and like if they could just do this, he would probably be fine. And but he won't do anything. Right. He doesn't want to do anything, which we got that. But if Lily Grant brought him a cup of water, he'd take it and drink it. So. And that she would definitely put a smile on his face too, because like it got to a point where like I don't think he knew what planet he was on at times and stuff like that there towards the end. But when she was there, it felt like he was a normal person just for that little bit, which was crazy. And his favorite thing in the world was tennis. Like that's his favorite sport. That was his thing. And that was like when Wimbledon was going on at the time, and he was still. Like, I don't think he realized what was going on the TV, but that's what he wanted on the TV. And he was trying to pick out who he thought the winner was going to be. And that was probably one of the last things, like he probably said, was the last name of the person he thought was going to win. Who he thought the finals was going to be. And he got it right. It was Djokovic and Kyrgios. And he said he thought Kyrgios was going to win, but he didn't. But that's one of the last things I remember before those sounds started happening. And you're like, I don't know. This isn't normal. Like I haven't heard these yet. Don't know, so I started texting.
Well, it's like when we were trying to figure out what he was trying to say.
Yeah.
So what do you need to know? It's like, that you're going to heaven, or that that we're going to heaven, or like he wanted to make sure that we're all squared away before he's gone, kind of thing. Like that was what those kind of thoughts were going through our minds.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And we wanted him to leave in peace. Like I wanted him to have peace of mind before leaving. Like that.
No, I understand that. That was like Dad's too. Like he was at peace way quicker. And I mean, like we had those conversations when he could have those conversations about it. So prayers changed from like, for God to save him and to do all these different things. And really it's just like, no, it needs to be your will on this one. He may need him more. And that's hard to say. And that's a hard thing to pray, but that's how I got peace with it. Yeah. Was because you have to have that kind of conversation with God on that one where it's like, well, I can't stop you from this. You may need him more, that kind of thing. And it got to a point towards the end, like my dad's a doer. He doesn't want to be helped to the bathroom and all these different things and lay in a hospice bed all day. Like he's a doer. And he was just like, got to that moment where like if he did ask him, he would be like, I'm just ready to be done, that kind of thing. And that was a hard thing to, bitter pill to swallow a little bit, but but at the same time, I was, when you watch him like that, you're kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't want to just be there like that either, So
it's such a hard question to, like when people are going through this kind of stuff, is how much do you want to fight? How much do you want to just prolong things when it seems like the inevitable is going to happen?
Because it's a dogfight. Yep. It is. So I know because we're talking about different stories. Ours are completely different. There's some common denominators in there, just like with everybody else's. And there's so many others out there that have what they're probably even currently going through it right now. And that's, there's so many different things to different stories.
Yeah, even, unfortunately, like cancer just, like I said, it impacts too many times is how I put it. Like just this past year, a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, my sister-in-law, she passed away from colon cancer. God, she was fighting for a handful of years. Goodness. And probably one of the coolest things that kind of came out of it was my brother Carl. He just thought of different ways to honor her name and things like that. We took a trip to the UK because she just loved the UK. Yeah. And when we're at her memorial service kind of hangout times, I was just talking with Carl. I was just like, if you want to get out of town, go do something, get your mind off things. I was just trying to figure out ways to help him cope. Not necessarily like, I didn't want any kind of dwelling happening. I wanted some sort of movement. Sure. I don't know, like for me, like getting out of town is just a nice reset button for myself. So when I go travel and do things, like it's a good reset. And so he was like, I'm thinking about going to the UK. And I was like, let me know, I'll go. I'll figure out how to get there or whatever. So anyways, long story short, we took the trip and stuff, and there was just different things that kind of was really cool. I thought of this idea, and I'm always saying this, not because I'm like, oh, Josh did a cool idea kind of thing, but like if you want to be there for someone, like there's creative ways that you can do that. Yes, yeah. I'm the type person where it's great to offer thoughts and prayers, but actually doing something goes a long way too. And so there's this idea that I got, I think it was maybe 2 days before we even left for the trip, but I printed out a bunch of Polaroid pictures of her. And so I wrote a letter to Carl and handed it to him on the plane because it was like an 8-hour flight. So I was like, this would be a good time for him to kind of put some thought into to what I was going to suggest. And I was like, you don't have to do anything of what I'm talking about. This is the idea. And the idea was to, like on the different Polaroid pictures, to, write her name. We had a hashtag going on. And just write a characteristic about her that he loved. That's cool. And we could just leave it somewhere. Yeah. And just, the different places that we would go to. That's awesome. So we did that a few times, and it was just like, think of ways that you can honor someone's name. Sure. Like I said, you don't have to be a creative person, but just do gestures, do something. Like if you get an idea, just at least write it down so that we can try to execute it later. Because like I could tell that meant a lot to Carl, because like one, it got him to process. And that's another thing, like when you're coping through things, helping someone process through things is probably one of the more beneficial things that you can do for someone. Because like when you have to write down someone's characteristics, like you're thinking about that person and you're processing who that person was,
Right.
you're kind of looking past the horrible situation,
Right.
Even though it's still there in the midst of you. But you're taking time, like she was a rock star, she was funny, she had a sense of humor. Just think of different even memories about those times, and then that picture. It's like you get to look back at that picture of that point in time too, and you get to relive those kind of moments as you go on.
It's a really cool idea. Yeah,
that was one of the coolest things from that trip. Obviously, going to the UK was amazing. We got to go to all kinds of spots. I'm still working on this long blog post that kind of like documents the whole thing.
You took some cool pictures. You took a lot of cool
I did
pictures
post quite a bit of pictures from the trip. So you can go to my Instagram and see some of that kind of stuff. But
that's cool. You did that too, because I remember seeing like you were there, and I was like, "Oh man, Josh took a really cool trip," and I'm like, "Oh wait, it's got so much more." It
was way more than just a cool trip,
which is awesome. So that makes it even cooler.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
And it's really neat how just special circumstances happen in those kind of efforts too. Because I remember it was New Year's Eve, and so her favorite song was "Yellow" by Coldplay.
Hey, yeah, I love Coldplay.
That was one of the songs that we played at her memorial service. But
nice.
It had to have been 3 or 4 times that song played that day and night.
Really?
So it really felt like she was there with us as we were
That's awesome.
ringing in the New Year in Edinburgh, Scotland. So it was just like cool things like that happen.
Yep.
I listened to Coldplay for a while, but
I love Coldplay.
But now
Coldplay's awesome.
Yellow has a whole different like meaning and special whatever.
That's really cool. That like moments like that. Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
Through your all's process, what were some of the coping things that you? How about you could share some what happened, but what about maybe something that you wish that could have happened to?
Well, coping. Well, I mean, gosh, stuff still. Like I said, like
it's not like you get over it,
right?
But it's still like to help you through the process.
Really, I mean, friends, and I know it may sound super cliche, but friends and family were really there for my family.
Yeah.
Our church that was huge. They stepped up in just a crazy huge way, and the love and support we received from them was. It sounds so simple, but I don't think sometimes they even realize how like much that helped, especially like my mom and stuff, and it was me, and myself included, people checking on you and stuff. So our church covenant was amazing through that process, and they still are, because it's still weird sometimes him not being there, but Kyle and Bobby, who are our pastors there now, and they're doing an amazing job, and the way that they all rallied around my dad and rallied around the family, and how they're still kind of rallying even through this day now. It's been super cool to watch and to be a part of. But I would say that like friends and family in the church were, huge for me. Because like I can sometimes shut down pretty quick and crawl into like a little. I don't mean to, but like you can crawl into like a little hole and just kind of. But a lot of folks and close people wouldn't let me do that,
that's important.
That was really important, or like I guess in the beginning, not wanting to talk about it, trying to be on the outside, be the strong, like I'm good, but really deep down I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is really tough. So like those kinds of moments were learning to talk about it more with other people, like that was, and really that's kind of it now too. I'm an open book about it now, but then maybe when it was still kind of fresh, like it was kind of tough.
I'm the kind of person I have to talk out my issues and problems, and whether it's just something I'm trying to solve or if it's like an issue that I'm going through, I have to talk it out.
Yeah.
Just to help it make sense.
Sure. So, but I guess something, if I wanted to see something different like that, that's a tough one too. Just because, you know, his oncologist here, I mean, amazing person, did an amazing job, and like, you know, loved going up there and seeing people and learning different stories and stuff while he was there, because my dad was just a people guy. But he also did a lot of flying out to MD Anderson too, and that was tough. But I mean, they're the best in the world when it comes to. I mean, they are literally a cancer-only hospital, and so like there are so many different doctors and stuff that, you know, they did a lot of changing and doing different things, and some stuff worked really well, and then what they tried something else and it didn't work as well, and then they got back to the other stuff that was working well, and it kind of worked well again, but then it didn't. So it's just, but that's kind of the game of it. Like, you just kind of keep
like
trying to
we're
do
not the experts,
right.
So
like I don't know what's going on. So like, you know, I guess, you know, I always asked about the medical terminology stuff, because like that was the stuff like I can't even do it now. Like, I'm just terrible at that kind of stuff, like knowing those kinds of words and things. But it was just a long process. But it got to a point, I think, too, where like I kind of not like forgot about it, but there was a period where like he was doing pretty well, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. It's gonna be one of those stories where you get to ring the bell at the end and everything's cool, and then it just took like a crazy sharp left turn, and it just, I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, and you're kind of like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, what did we do wrong? What did we not do? Like, so those are the kind of questions that I guess go through your brain.
Right.
When something like that, you go through a couple months of, okay, like, this is cool, and I guess you get a little comfortable and you forget, and then not forget, but like, you know, just you got to a state of, okay, this is good, and just there's normalcy again, I guess. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, it takes this turn, and you're like, oh man, you know, and it just kind of sneaks up on you, and it, I mean, then it goes from there, like, you're now at the hospital again. Now you've got a hospice bed in the living room, and it felt like it just happened so fast, I guess. Right. So that was pretty wild to
What time of
experience.
year did your dad pass?
What now?
What time of year did your dad pass?
It was June.
So
June, Tuesday, so it's summertime. And like Wimbledon and NBA playoffs are going on. Like, we were still trying to text a little bit about those kind, because he loves sports. Yeah, it was crazy. And we were in the middle of doing a certain sermon series that I was helping Kyle with at the time, and he passed away on a Saturday, and I ended up preaching on Sunday, and which was really hard to do.
That Sunday.
And he told me I didn't have to. Like, so you know, let me just get that out there. He said, you know, like, but I don't know. I felt like it was really hard, but I felt like it was something I needed to do, because I felt like in that moment that's what he would have done. He wouldn't have wanted me to be like, you know, take a few weeks off, like, you know, you need to go do this. And so, but then I'm glad I did too, as hard as it was difficult, but like I said, church family rallied around me that day, and after preached at both services, and so they, a lot of them were just like, I didn't think I was going to see you today, but I'm glad you did. I needed to hear from you. And so like that happened a lot more, and like, so I was glad that I did do it, but it was pretty difficult. I mean, there was even a point, like, you know, Kyle, our pastor, was like, you know, like, if you change your mind even before, like 5 minutes before, like, we got you. I'll do the one I was gonna do the next week, and like, you can do it another time or something. And so I still, there definitely crossed my brain a couple times, like, maybe I'm just gonna go home.
I don't know, I'm sure it's like most people are like this. It's like, even though like something just happened, there's just like, what just happened, or did it actually happen? Right. Like, this reality kind of thing is going on. So I don't know.
It was wild. But yeah, so there was a lot of that. But but I ended up being very glad that I did it, and
it's one of those things like if you didn't do it, there's probably be a huge regret later on.
Yeah, I really just kind of kept thinking like, what would he do? What would he do? And he would have said, you need to go up there and do that.
Yeah.
Knock it out. And it was kind of funny because not funny, but like I guess how God works and His timing with everything. Like it was kind of funny. We're like a lot of times during the summertime. We'll do like a movie series, for fun, and we were like doing a Frozen series. It was one of his favorite Disney movies. He loved Frozen, and so like we were doing. So I had to like wrap up all of Frozen 1, and so it's kind of crazy. Like part of the theme of that, obviously with the song and stuff like "Let It Go" and that kind of thing. So like, so it got a little crazy, but I used that. I know, but I ended up. I was like, because I was going to talk about like other stuff too. Like I was still going through it, because the church knew at the time, like he's at his house, he's in a hospice bed, but like that ended up being one of my themes and stuff, and so like I kind of.
Dial into that.
Yeah, so like I know all. It's like I know all about that right now.
Jeez.
But it was, like I said, difficult, but also felt like necessary for me, and it helped me out a lot with like, I guess starting the grieving process because it hadn't even been 24 hours yet. But it was very difficult to do. But like I said, I was glad I did it because it helped me out a lot.
Yeah. Starting
that now. The next part of the journey when it's done, and that's still ongoing even now. So, but yeah, that was
that's crazy.
That was old. Yeah, I forgot I never told you that part of that story before. Wow. So there's that. Yeah.
Let it go at that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was tough.
I bet heart and soul was just letting everything go.
Yeah, it was literally. Yeah, wow. It was crazy. It was pretty crazy.
Were there, after that, his passing and stuff, I'm always curious about this, was there a point in the, short period of time or months later that things just kind of sunk in and reality just really set?
Yes, absolutely. And that, one of our favorite things we would do together, it was he was huge. I kind of told you this before, like because I'm a big nerd. He was really big into Marvel movies, so that was kind of our thing. Like like all the movies. Like one of the last movies one of the last normal things we did together before like a couple weeks later the hospice bed goes in the living room was we went and saw the latest Spider-Man movie, and that was his favorite hero too. So that was kind of big, and to see all the spoilers, but all the characters come back from all the other movies. And so, like, that was, like, I think I'll always remember that. But, like, I know it sounds kind of silly because, like, I know it's just, like, movies. But, like, it's tougher to watch those kinds of movies. Because the movies are still ongoing. They're still making all the movies and all that kind of stuff. I know some people don't go watch them because they're not as good. Sometimes I don't go watch them because, like, I don't know if I can. It hits a little different. So I gotta watch it because sometimes, like, those movies get a little real, like the Black Panther movie. The actor actually passed away of, I think, colon cancer, Chadwick Boseman, and so like they kind of like put that in the
it was a huge
in the movie.
tribute to him.
The whole intro to the movie was him.
It was heavy.
And I was at the theater by myself, like I'm just gonna watch Black Panther 2. I love the first one.
It was heavy.
And that opening scene, I was like straight. I was like, I had my hat on. I was like doing that. Like it was straight PTSD for me. So I was like, okay, so it's tough. It's going to be tough to go to the movie theater. So I need to wait till these start streaming.
Right. So it's like on that note, from what my experience was, you would have thought that, the normal holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas and all that kind of
those
stuff.
were major sink-in moments too.
So like, yeah, he was missing, but the holiday that hit me the most was Valentine's Day.
Oh, really?
Because it was the first time my mom was gonna be alone.
Man.
And it really that I think hit me the most.
Wow.
After this point, because with like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and all that kind of stuff, you're around a lot of people.
True.
And so like Valentine's Day is one of the few holidays where it's dedicated to that significant other.
Right.
that significant other wasn't
man,
there anymore.
I would not have thought about that.
So I was just like, I can't remember how far away from it might have been Valentine's Day or the night before or something, but I broke down. And I was just like, I've got to take care of my mom. Because, like, one of the things I did with my dad was actually take him out to go get her stuff. Like, so that was, like, things that we did together. So I was like, it was like that muscle memory kind of thing. Like, I should be doing this with my dad right now.
That's exactly
and
what
that
it feels like.
that hit kind of heavy, or it did hit heavy. It was like that first Valentine's Day afterwards. I was just like, and I felt horrible for my mom because, like I said, it's supposed to be with that other person. Like, you got kids, grandkids, whatever else. They all take a special part in that day too. But Valentine's Day is to be with that other one.
Right. Man, I didn't think about that.
That one kind of hit me.
That is crazy. I think
unexpectedly. Like, that was the thing. Like, Valentine's Day, cool day and all that kind of stuff. Lots of cool meaning behind it. But man,
Christmas was difficult, and not just because it was Christmas, but more like for me, him being a pastor and working at his church for the last oh my gosh, like it feels like forever. But I love doing it. But like Christmas was tough because like that was one of his favorite holidays to like plan for. Like you plan like your Christmas Eve services, and we're like I would be going into his office like 5 times a day planning like what about this song, like we're going over these like we love planning the services, and so like when he's not there. You're kind of just planning. And I still plan things with Kyle too, but obviously, but there's I don't know.
It's kind of like that muscle memory is the best way I can describe it.
It was just one of those things.
You're supposed to be doing this right now, and you can't.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
So planning like the Christmas and Easter services those years, the first years that he was completely gone, that was crazy. Just because of me and him loved to text about songs. I could go walk across from the studio that I work in to his office, kind of hang out for a minute and, talk and discuss what he's thinking on what he's wanting to do. And that'll help trigger me like, oh, I'm going to do this song and I'm going to put this on. Like planning services or planning the big services were one of his favorite part of the holidays.
That reminds me of, it doesn't happen as much now, but for years, like I would have the urge every day after work, I would call my dad. And like that was just something I habitually did. And I mean, I still get the urge every once in a while. I was like, I feel like I should
his
be
contact's
picking
still
him
on
up.
my phone too.
Oh, same.
I mean,
he's in my favorites still.
I'll go back and sometimes scroll. What was the last normal conversations? And there's still like, and like he was so old school. Like he would like people just don't leave messages on the phone.
Right.
But he would still do it like, hey, just call him to check in and call me back when you get a chance. When really I just text that to somebody. But so that there's still a couple, messages. I don't think I'll ever delete them, but like I'll go back and listen to them every now and then. So for sure.
But that's another thing that was interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, even said like it was 2011 is when he passed away.
Wow. So
even that long ago, you still get those urges that still want to do that kind of stuff.
Goodness. That holiday, the holiday sinking was.
I think
was pretty wild.
Pretty common for holidays to be a struggle point for people, but Valentine's Day, like I said, that took me by surprise. Like I didn't expect
that is
that
a major surprise
like that.
And that's funny. Like that's crazy. Where it's like wouldn't have thought that. Just like I wouldn't have thought of going to a movie theater might mess me up because that was like something he just loved movies and that's what we did and that was our thing and like some of these movies I kind of wait till they come out on the streaming thing so I can just stay home and watch them, or do I even need to watch this at all now?
Oh wow!
But yeah, that was definitely a tough one. That and soccer, we would try to take in like 4 USA games a year. I haven't been to one since the last time we went was like before everything went down. But we would go. He would love Dothan United being. I would tell you that right now. He'd be at every game. So it's kind of cool. Like all that's getting taken off because kind of reminds me of that kind of stuff too, just because he would be all over that. He loves like going and watch professional soccer, and the fact that's going to be here now.
That's cool.
Yeah, a little plug there, but still, like, you know, like he would have been all over that, which is cool. So
that's neat. It feels like we could talk hours about just different memories and experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
what makes this campaign thing so cool, though.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing from us now, we're kind of getting it started, but there's so many other things that we can get out there with some of the others that are doing
My
this.
goal is to have like 2 or 3 more recording sessions. And
that's awesome.
It's whoever can make it. It's one of those trying to organize a bunch of people together is kind of difficult, but.
I'll go ahead and say this. Ours won't be as long as Kindle shows us. Kindle shows us probably, I'm teasing.
Who knows what it's going to be like.
I want to make sure I'm there. I want, again, on that one.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing. But
I'm looking forward to hearing other people's stories.
Yeah, me too.
When I know you didn't get to go to the meet and greet, but there's a good handful of us that was there. And
I've heard from some of the others that went, like Philip Axtell and some other folks who were there. They said that was just amazing to get to hear everything. And
right.
It's awesome.
So, and like I said there, it's just one of those messages I like to put out there. It's like if in any way that I can help with helping someone else get their message out, that's what I want to do this for. And like I said, March is busy. As soon as I get done with this, I've got to get back to the house.
March is crazy too, because this is like
all the things.
Easter's in March this year, so like I'm already in planning mode for all that. But like I said, when this thing came knocking, like there's no way I was gonna like I had to figure out how to do this, because when I found out there was gonna be us helping others who went we went through this and now they're going through it or whatever, however it may look and whatever way it may be, it was a no-brainer. Like I'm gonna figure out how to also make this work this month, because it's.
With that said, I don't know, like looking at not in a competitive way or whatever, but what are, like, for someone that is interested in raising funds, like what are some, I don't know, quote unquote successful methods that you've used to be able to get people to donate?
So far right now, I haven't, right now I've just done all the social media sharing with the link. I guess that's kind of the age we live in right now. If it's on Facebook and Instagram with a link, or Instagram, I had to find out that I didn't know you couldn't do this. You can't put the link in the post. Yeah. So Kindle actually told me, it's like, you're going to need to put that in the bio and say link in bio. I didn't know you couldn't do that.
So there's a couple things. Like you can do link in the bio kind of thing, or you can also post a link on stories.
Oh, okay. I did know that.
Right. So you can post a story and then put the link with it, and then highlight that story, and then that link will stay on your front page.
Right.
So like that's a couple ways that I try to make it as easy as possible for someone to donate.
So yeah, Facebook and Instagram have been the biggest things I've done. So I haven't done like any like phone calling or anything that kind of stuff just yet, because I know we still got some time before we get to
the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty. We really got to hit that mark. But so I guess right now, I'm kind of just getting the link out there as of right now, and then see where we are in a couple weeks. Yeah,
I'm experimenting with some methods on my own.
Cool.
Because like I got different platforms in different ways.
Sure.
So like I've got obviously my personal one, then I've got Bane Tech, and then I've got Evergreen. So like I'm trying to figure out ways that the different audiences can hit it.
Incorporate all three of them.
For example, so I work with this brand called Nomad with Bane Tech a lot, and I was like, I know you guys have something close to lime green. So it's like,
that's the color for
that's the lymphoma color. That's awesome. So I reached out to my contact there, and they're super cool about stuff. So it's like, I think the Volta color would be the closest one. So they sent it, and I was like, it works.
Nice.
So,
I dig that.
So I'm doing things like my goal, and like if you see my post, I've said this almost every time, is like, when you see the color lime green, I want you to think about this campaign, and I want you to think, donate something, like whether it's $10, $20, $100, whatever it could be. Like I want you to be reminded of the campaign. Right. So it's like, I wear all black all the time. It's not common for me to have color.
This is very uncommon. I don't think you've ever seen me in like red.
So
same.
Like, I figured out I'm close to actually making maybe one of my Android phones my phone for the month too, because there's the green
The
text.
green.
So
the green.
what I want people
yeah.
to think is like every time you get a text message from me, the color green is going to be there. So I
Hey.
was thinking about that too.
That's a good idea.
So I might do that for the last.
That's cool. See,
last
mine's
part.
orange. All I got is like, even Jill was like, "You want to wear something orange for your photo?" I was like, "I don't think I have, other than Auburn stuff. I don't think I have anything orange." So,
But that's where I was like, if I have any kind of color on me, it's going to be like a watch
That's
band
cool.
or shoes or something like that. So
let's find some
that's
orange.
been like a
orange
couple
stuff.
creative things that I've been trying to do, just like to
That's awesome.
subtly kind of, if someone sees that and I'm saying it so much, it's like, okay, green campaign.
Associate with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
So that's been, like I said, I've got multiple audiences, so it's been, I'm just trying to figure out what ways I can use that platform. I've sent out some text messages, did some email type stuff too. It's very hit and miss, but
Yeah.
like that's just
Yeah,
the way
sure.
it kind of goes.
I gotcha.
But yeah, I've used social media. I've tried to just figure out some creative ways to do things.
Awesome.
I heard, I think it was at the meet and greet, someone had made some flyers that they passed out to like their school that they work at.
Oh, that's cool.
So I thought that was
Just
kind of
old-
a neat way to,
old school flyer,
I
yeah.
think it's like
There
had
you
a QR code on there
Yeah.
or something like
Oh,
that.
that's a cool idea.
So I'm curious, like if you've got any pointers or tips for raising funds like on a personal level, what are some ways that maybe has been successful for that person? Because I would love to hear it too.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like I'm behind. Like I've raised a decent amount, but I would love to hit my goal. Each one of us has a goal of $2,500.
That's right.
And the overall goal is $60,000. So the overall goal right now is past the halfway mark, and we're only
Which is
9
amazing.
days into the campaign.
Which is
At this
it's
point in time.
amazing the generosity that
Yeah.
the whole team has seen already, which is incredible.
So, and like I said, we can keep on talking forever, and I might bring this up in another recording, but it's kind of neat how, like I knew you, I knew Kendall. I recently got to know Molly White,
Nice.
which phenomenal story in itself. We got to work with her on a campaign with Southeast Health Foundation, and that's actually how I came to know Jill through Southeast Health.
Awesome.
But now she's with, New Promise.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do I know? Oh, Miss Saliba. I didn't realize like she had that cancer story going on. So that was kind of like new to me too. But it's just I'm loving seeing the collective effort.
It is very cool.
I'm really looking forward to just learning about other people's stories, maybe some of their success stories.
Highs, lows,
all the stuff in between. There's a lot of cool stuff. Like the other creative thing that we can maybe just end on this is like the reason why I'm choosing this kind of platform or style to just record like a podcast style episode in a sense. It's not going to necessarily be like this, year-long podcast, but it's like what you can do with the power of video is just amazing because like where my mind goes with the podcast style is like, yes, we're going to have this long form video, this one longer main video, but there's so much quotable stuff that can be taken out of it that like imagine all the different stuff that we've said cut up into little things to be able to disperse it however
really
many times, because my plan is like, I'm going to post what's appropriate to my own stuff, then I'm going to share with you so you can have things to post, and then New Promise is going to have stuff to post if they want to use it.
That's awesome.
So it's like
It's like so much content to continue to get that out.
One video can really spread out in so many different ways. So like that is the
really
reason why I wanted to do this. And like at the very bare minimum, if it's just us, there's still a huge branch out of what can happen. So that was a big reason why I'm doing this.
Love it. That's awesome.
Use what you can for good, right?
And that's what you got. You got a full studio and cameras, mics, everything. You got to use it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Just, like I said, I didn't know anything really going into this. I don't know if I was the last one to get asked or not, but
I think Miss Lee was actually the last one.
okay, cool. So I know it's probably towards the back end, but but kind of getting into this, I guess later, right?
It was just like things happen and people got
getting
plugged in
later
at certain points.
But it's just so cool and how it moves so quick, and the generosity that this group and this team have already seen, that we're already over the halfway mark, and it's only been like 9 days.
I think it was like the beginning of February that at least I got the notification notification, the message, whatever, about being invited to be a promised partner. And I was like, once I said yes, I was like, okay, what can I do now? Like,
Right.
how can I
Gears
figure out, figure out ways
Yeah.
to, and that's where like the ideas of wearing the lime green in different ways
Right.
kind of came from, and just
But
try to
it's-
figure out like just different posts I could do. Like, it's so easy just to kind of put all the things into one thing at
Right.
first. But I was like, let me try to space it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like people can learn about the story in
Sure.
different ways, and like that's what this is going to help do too.
Yeah, it's so cool to get to be a part of this and to learn about it, and because it's also kind of new and fresh at the same time, and getting to raise money for others who are going through this, because bills can pile up and maybe tough on groceries or getting people to treatments and things.
It's even like support group kind of stuff
right.
too.
It's really
it's about
cool.
coping with things during the struggles and after the struggles, and
So I think if there's anything I've learned through a cancer experience with someone who is so close to you is definitely don't try to do it alone. So I kind of love that's what this is. Like we're doing this
it's a huge
together.
collective effort,
There's like 24 of us, and we're kind of tackling this at the same time and raising all the money for all these different people that are going through it now and how they're going to use that. And I think that's kind of cool. That's how this is going down. Like, like I learned that
the foundation
don't
of it
do it
is
like
a
it's like
collective effort.
such a togetherness thing, and because that changed everything for me when I started opening up more and that kind of stuff while all that was going on. So the fact that that's how this works, it's really a cool thing. So it's really an honor to get to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the month continues, honestly. So it'll be really cool.
Sweet.
All right.
I think we're gonna wrap that up.
Wrap it.
I'm not rapping.
Yeah.